Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Hogue X5. This is the spear point, 3.5 inch, with the G-Mascus inserts on the handle. Price for this particular version is about $204. They go all over the place though, because as I said, this is a 3.5 spear point. They also make 4-inch, and they make two different blade styles, so you can get it with with this. They call it a Warncliffe, but it's really kind of more of a multi-grind sort of blade, which also looks pretty cool. And you can get it without the inserts, all kinds of stuff. Prices range from about $180 to about $225. That's what I'm going to say, without listing off every single configuration and price, which I'm not, because it's going to take a long time. This is a manual flipper. Hogue is known for making a fair amount of automatics. The X5 is, as far as I could tell looking around, is not an automatic. I couldn't find any automatic versions of it. It does have a safety lock, which, whether you like that or not, that I used it then. That's probably the third time I've used it. It's probably never getting used again. We'll talk more about that. But pretty darn cool knife. Actually, this is the second time it's been on this channel. I hadn't done a full review on it, but when I did the 5 knives with the twist thing I was tagged in, this was my shocker. And a lot of you were very, very shocked about it. And I understand why, because if you watch this channel a lot, this is not Brian spec. This is definitely not the style that I normally order a knife in. Black on black on black on black is usually not my thing. But I do have another Hogue that's a small one. You'll see in a moment. That's also the same way. But still, it's like, it's not really my thing. Something that's really kind of tactical. This is a very tactical looking knife. Sorry about my throat today. Is also kind of not my thing, but man, this one has really struck me, and it's definitely one I'm going to keep around for a while. We'll get to why in a moment. But made by Hogue. Hogue, again, this is kind of a company I've just really started to get to know, but because they're known primarily for handgun grips and all kinds of stuff. I think stocks and all kinds of stuff for gun parts. And I'm not a gun guy, so it's not a company that I was super familiar with. They also make heated toilet seats, which I hear are fantastic. But but they've gotten knives a few years ago, and they're really taking everybody by storm because their build quality is just outstanding. Now they make stuff for Sig Sauer, which, by the way, you can get an X5 with a Sig Sauer branding that will probably match your Sig gun, that's kind of cool. And they make stuff for H&K and a whole bunch of companies now. And they make, they got the thing. You've seen the review of this. I had a Doug Ritter grip. They got that contract. So all completely built in the USA, outstanding quality, and seem like pretty awesome guys. I actually had a conversation on the phone with Jim, one of the main guys there, the knife guy. And we honestly talked about planes more than knives, but seems like a really cool guy, and they definitely seem to know what they're doing. Their machining and just their ability to build a quality knife is par none, and very glad to see them doing more stuff. All right, let's do some specs and stuff before we get too much farther. You have an overall length of 8.25 inches. Blade length, as I said, 3.5 inches. Blade thickness of 0.15. Handle thickness of 0.58. And a weight of, according to my scales, dead on 4.6 ounces. Which all those stats are just pretty good EDC size stats. Nothing too crazy. Let's do some size comparisons. You have, against your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, pretty darn close overall to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. And we'll slip in a Para 3 here also, just to show you. Obviously a little bigger than a Para 3. You can fit all those in there. But yeah, good just sort of EDC-ish kind of size. I'm going to throw in a couple of weird ones here, just because they are stuff that I think about when I use this knife. The other most tactical looking knife that I have, I guess, you have your Cold Steel American Lawman. Again, about the same size as that. Your ZT 0562 tie. About the same as that. And Oh, what else do we want to toss in here? Let's put in your Kershaw bare knuckle. Yeah, about the same, maybe a little bit shorter than that. And then I'm going to show you one more knife because this one's going to come up again when we talk about the action stuff. But one of the other Hogues that I have, this is the X1 micro flip, much smaller version. You can see between the X1 and the X5, it is a dramatic difference in size. It's quite a big difference. The X5 is very much larger. Now, let's talk more about this. Quality-wise, as I said, build quality is outstanding. I really like the looks of this. Would I have minded if it was not a coated blade? Because this is CPM 154. Doesn't really need to be coated. It's not something that's going to corrode or anything. No, I probably would have been happier if it wasn't coated. But you know what? Their coating is very good. I've been using this X1 a whole lot, and this also. But I haven't had any issues with the coating scratching or anything like that. It's held up extremely well. So I can't really complain about that. Just looks-wise, yeah, I probably would have preferred if it wasn't coated, but you can't get the G-Mascus inserts without getting the coated blades, so that's the way I went. But just the overall design and looks of it, I think it looks badass. It's kind of Batmanish, which that's a good thing. Yeah, it's and it said build quality is great, and you also get cool stuff with it. You don't just get the knife; you get in the package. You get this really cool Hogue little slip cover thing. And what I like too is they have different sizes. The one that came for that smaller X1 was smaller. And now you get the bigger one for this. And it's got the nice quilty. Looks like the inside of a sleeping bag. You get... The box itself is actually pretty cool. It's nothing to like write home about, but it ain't bad. You get the left-hand pocket clip because you do need a different pocket clip the way this is shaped. So much like Cold Steel does on several of their models, you get two pocket clips. You get the Hogue Knives little sticker and this extreme duty gun oil, Lucas gun oil that they recommend you use for lubrication. I'm going to disobey you guys on that one. I'm not going to do that. I have my stuff that I like for my knives, so I have my KPL and nano oil and that kind of stuff. But anywho, talking about the blade on this, it is CPM 154, as I said, which for the price, I know some people are gonna complain about, but I don't. I love CPM 154. It's honestly one of my favorite steels because it holds a good edge and it's super easy to sharpen. And look at the edge it comes with. You cannot complain about that. One of the best factory edges I've gotten on a knife in a long time. It is gorgeous. It's like almost a true mirror. I would say it's a true mirror polish edge on a production knife. You don't see that a whole lot. 15 thousandths in the thickness. I'm sorry, 0.15 inches in thickness, and it's about 23 thousandths behind the edge, 24 thousandths behind the edge. So pretty thin, and a very high flat grind. It's not a full flat grind, but it's close to it, and it slices pretty darn well, I do have to say. And the tip, it's not going to show well because that swedge goes all the way there, but the tip is still pretty robust on it. You can still stick it into some stuff for sure without worrying about snapping it off. Not a pry bar, but they never should be. I really like the blade on this. It's one of my favorite things about it and why I've been carrying it so much and why it was my shocker in that choice of ones that I wanted to keep around. It is a very good slicer. It works very well as a cutting tool, as it should. Ergonomically, also something that really surprised me about it. This does not look ergonomic at all. The clip doesn't look like it would be comfortable. Nothing looks comfortable about it. But with my large size hands with skinny fingers, it is super comfortable. It's one of the more comfortable knives that I actually own. It works great, and I especially like these little G10 inserts. Not all models have this. Some of them are just pure aluminum, but it hits just right where it gives you just that little bit more traction. I don't think it necessarily needs it. If you want to just get one of the plain aluminum ones, you're not missing out on a whole lot, but it is there and it does work and it's nice. But your finger's just locked right in, and these lovely little cutouts. Perfect place to put my finger. No jimping up here, but you know what? It don't need it. Yeah, which is odd because the X1 has a ton of jimping, some of which I think it doesn't really need. But on the X5, on the larger model, no jimping, and it doesn't need it at all. It's just your finger lands in a really good spot. You have this nice little harpoony sort of point to push on. It's an extremely comfortable knife to use. Yeah, handle's a little thick at 0.58, but it makes it feel so comfortable. I really do like it. Now, action-wise, I'm not gonna let this go way far because we're gonna come back. It does have the usual Hogue button lock. This is, as I said, this is only a manual. This one though, it is a little bit different than the others. They all have that detent, the internal detent that's a bit up high. It's up high instead of down low. So like most button locks will just drop shut. Hogue's won't, and this won't drop shut. On the X1, you can't even force it to drop shut. Like you can't. It's not going to happen. But I will say on the X5, kind of unsurprising because it's just got a bigger blade. You can if you just give it the tiniest bit of wrist, it flicks right shut, which is nice. But it still has that super crisp Hogue action. Not as snappy as the X1, but which again unsurprising because of the weight of the blade. This is a much smaller blade. It's going to snap out a bit more. But I'll give that up all day for being able to actually, just flick it shut with a tiny bit of a wrist. I like being able to do that on a button lock. Still a great action. Yeah, it's very fun to play with. And as I said, you got the safety thing if you want to use it. I ain't never gonna do that, but it's there. Letting you know, it makes more sense on their automatics because when it's in your pocket, on the automatics you can also lock them closed. On the manuals, you can't lock it closed. So I get it on the automatics, but I kind of don't really see why they put it on the manuals. Maybe just make some people feel a little bit better. To each his own. But yeah, action's pretty good. Carry, it also carries much better than I expected it to be honest with you. I have entirely too much stuff piled up over here on top of ye old Wranglers. We're not going to do it. But it does carry pretty well. It angles off. You have no choice just with this pocket clip. It is kind of an oddball pocket clip, which is why it comes with two if you're left or right-handed. But it does angle it off to where it carries pretty good. It is a tall knife, definitely. It's not like quite Mannix 2 level of height, but it's not that far off. But it does angle itself off where you can get your hand by it pretty good. It is a pretty thick handle. The weight, 4.6 ounces, is just average. There's nothing really spectacular to talk about there. The pocket clip does hit, as you can see on this side, especially where they have this milled down and ground off. Your pocket clip does catch there. So it's not a pocket destroyer by any means. It actually is pretty darn good. It carries pretty good. It doesn't carry like amazingly well. Nothing I really I'd want to brag about, but it's perfectly fine. So what is my conclusion on this then? I've hit all the high points. I think it's a pretty damn good knife, and I really do like it. And if you want it if you have a particular color or blade finish or whatever you want, they have a lot of choices. So yeah, it's pretty great. They actually encouraged me to try this one. I said, I do like the X1, and they're like, you gotta try the X5. You're gonna like it a lot more. And yeah, I do. This is a really, really cool just EDC knife. It is definitely, depending on the color choices you get, pretty tactical looking. Let's be honest, any of the color choices are pretty tactical looking. This one probably especially, but it has struck me, and I'm very surprised that it did. And it's just been a pleasure to use. The ergonomics are so good. The action is fun, and I really like this blade. CPM 054 steel. That's something you guys are gonna have to decide on your own whether or not you think it's worth it at this price. I kind of do. I like CPM 054. I've had very good luck with it. Had it on a Three Rivers manufacturing knife too, and it worked great. So I'm perfectly fine with it. I like the G-Mascus. Yeah, The only thing I would change is if I could get this color, but with no coating on the blade. That'd be the only thing. And before anyone says, no, I'm not going to go buy another one and swap them out. But pretty cool knife. And I'm picking up what Hogue is putting down. You know, I'm very excited to have gotten to know these guys and to have reviewed a few of their products. Very, very cool stuff. Can't wait to see what they got coming out for next year. I think there are a few new things. We shall see. But hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.